Check 1 2 1 2 test 1 2. Check 1 2. Test 1 2. Can you increase the volume in the computer? Check 1 2. Test 1 2. Check 1. Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Caller with the number ending in 1669. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, my name is Hassan. I'm an organizer with the nonprofit organization 8 that represents in District 8. I would like to talk about the item number 5.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Yeah. So I would like to make sure that Mr. Chris Harrison Johnson knows that we want to make sure that this item number 5 gets voted no. My members of an organization that lives in District 8 are expressing their awareness of this development that could be affecting our community. With the spread concerns with the demolition scam policy in the motion, it is the demolition policy may be subjected to misuse by the homeowners and potentially applicants. For example, some property owners have primarily evict tenants only to allow their properties to languish for years while they obtain future rights, and other tenants to sell their projects. Those two motions could lead to the loss of homes and provisions incentives from homeowners.
Thank you, sir. That's your time. Caller with the number ending in 9357. Can you
Hi, I'd like to speak on item 12.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Good afternoon. I'm Clara Carter with Central City Association. We're very supportive of the proposed signage program for the Grand and encourage you to move this forward today. The Grand Avenue corridor is already a major destination and the key draw for over 22 million people that visit DTLA annually. The Grand will further support this area as a place to visit and enjoy, and the signage plan will help ensure smooth circulation throughout the project and surrounding neighborhood, and promote the many world-class arts and cultural institutions nearby. The plan is also important to ensure that restaurants and small businesses have the ability to use on-site signs, which is critical to providing visibility and successfully leasing and attracting them to this vital downtown location. Having an eclectic and vibrant mix of businesses at the Grand is a key element to making this a great place for downtown and the city, and fully realizing the value of this $1 billion investment. Thank you for your time, and we urge your support.
Caller with the number ending in 8547. Please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hi there. My name is Nick Silk. I wanted to comment on item number 4, and it was really just a question. I wasn't able to listen into the beginning of the meeting due to the audio issues on the online platforms and phone ones. So I was just wondering if item number 4 had already been addressed, or if there could be like a summary or recap of what actually was the decision for item number 4. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2980. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, this is Adrian Scott Fine. I'd like to speak on item number 5.
Sure, you have 1 minute.
Great, thank you. On behalf of the Los Angeles Conservancy, we have strong concerns regarding this proposal and whether or not the identified solution as currently outlined in the motion is appropriate to address the challenge. This appears to actually reward owners that intentionally neglect their properties through demolition by neglect and make them a nuisance to adjacent neighbors and the entire neighborhood. This action also appears to be in conflict with Council File number 170226S1 regarding unpermitted remodels, additions, and demolitions of buildings and penalties, which currently is pressing for stronger demolition deterrence, which is greatly needed. Rather than making it easier to neglect and demolish existing buildings and resources, we need stronger process to ensure owners are not abusing the building code and planning processes. For all those reasons and more, we urge you to vote no on this motion. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5553. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Yes, hi. This is Ziggy Cruz, and I just would like to give a general comment that I'm objecting to the entire meeting as it is today. The online audio was not available at any point until we contacted the city clerk. This should have been an issue addressed prior to the meeting. And as I found out later, items have been put on consent prior to the audio becoming available. I believe this is in violation of the Brown Act. I will have to double check on that. But I believe that any and all items that were previously heard and are currently in session should be postponed until a further notice is posted, maybe during a regular plum meeting, not a special meeting that has a corrected agenda. And I just feel that this item, or that the items, as the gentleman prior to my speaking pointed out, people are not aware what was being heard. I don't want to be confined to listening to my phone and ignoring phone calls just to be heard or just to hear a meeting. That should be inclusive of the public. So please reconsider the entire meeting to be postponed, and it should end right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for registering your concerns. Just to add everything to what you said, because I share your frustration, just know that everybody's doing the best that they can. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6318. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm commenting on 5, 14, and 15. I'd like to be able to continue. Can I continue?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your items one more time, ma'am?
5, 14, and 15. I'd like to be able to continue. Can I continue?
So you can speak on item number 5 right now. Items 14 and 15 will be heard when we get to those items.
Why? You were to ask for multiple items. I don't understand why I can't do all 3.
Ma'am, your time is starting now, so you can begin your one meeting.
So you're going to give me 1 minute for all 3?
No, we're giving you 1 minute for item 5.
Fine. This is in regards to 5. I strongly oppose this. I did live next door to an illegally demolition building. The gas wasn't shut off when it was demoed. No police or HSID could stop the demolition even after it occurred, after it was registered as an illegal demolition. And nothing happened to the developer because nothing ever does. We're asking that you please oppose this because developers do allow buildings to disintegrate on purpose, and so that they can then move forward with the demolition of buildings, even if buildings are currently under investigation. This happens quite often. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 0973. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Omar Galindo on behalf of Plumbers Local 78. I'm calling on item number 11. We support the project. The applicant has pledged to uphold the best practices in development. They have agreed to hire local and responsible contractors and hire local labor across industries. To us, this is huge. We support our families and have stable lives because jobs like this get approved and come our way. Please approve the project's environmental assessment. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 2531. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Good afternoon. I'll be speaking on item number 11.
I'm sorry, sir. Did you just gave public comment, correct?
No, you told me to unmute and
Oh, okay.
2531.
Okay, go for it. You have 1 minute, sir.
I'll be speaking on item number 11. My name is Gus Torres. I represent UA Local 250 pipe fitters, welders, and apprentices, and we support this project. This project is a great example of safe, responsible, and strong development that has focus on local hire and the highest building standards. We support the project because the project supports us. Please choose to support us and choose to approve the SCEA for this project. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
Caller with the number ending in 8197. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself? And then state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
My name is Brian Germain. I'd like to speak on item 11. My name is Brian Germain. I'd like to speak on item 11.
Sure, you have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. My name is Brian Germain, and I'm here to express my support for the project presented to us today, item number 11, on behalf of Los Angeles Sheet Metal Workers Union. This project approval will ensure that workers like me can support our families. By choosing to use skilled labor, the applicant is not only supporting workers like me, but also our entire community. Please consider the benefit for everyone, and please approve this project's SCEA. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 6222. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Yes, my name is Vivian Escalante, and I'm actually speaking on item number 5, 28-1477. Dear council members, I want to thank you for this opportunity to address a motion 21477 that is devastating and contemptuous to all Angelenos. I oppose the council giveaway to big property developers, a legacy of Jose Huizar favoring developers and ignoring the importance of repurposing our historic properties, especially on our ongoing demolitions of historic places in Boyle Heights. It's my understanding that existing laws that require property owners to maintain their buildings, which are currently not actually being enforced. Lastly, I do not agree with the dismissive action of LEBS by hijacking a recent public meeting, not allowing public comment by Mr. Nunez. Thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 3743. Can you please press *6 to raise your, to unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, council members.
Items you wish to speak on.
Yes, I'm speaking on item number 11. My name is Jose Pina with Creed LA, and we support the project. We think it's a fine addition to our city. Should you approve it, it would bring much-needed residential housing in a well-designed downtown tower in congruence with the character of the surrounding development. We support the project because of this commitment to housing and to creating good jobs for the local skilled workforce. So we strongly urge you to approve the project's SCEA. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 5685. Can you please press *6 to unmute and then state your name and the items you wish to speak on?
Hi, my name is Samuel Nieto, and I would like to speak on item 11. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Samuel Nieto, and I'm here in support of this project. Let me start by saying that this project design is dynamic, and it will add life to downtown. It will add residential units to a part of the city that needs more housing. Please approve this project, SCEA. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5167. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Yes, hello. My name is Kanya Costa. I'm from the Echo Park Planning and Land Use Committee. I am speaking solely on my behalf. I recommend for this committee to vote no on item 5 because in Echo Park, developers are buying 2 to 5 lots with habitable, affordable housing. Then the tenants are displaced. They find a bridge to live, while the developers are waiting to tear down this type of housing as soon as they get their permits. And in the meantime, these vacant houses sit for years in the neighborhood where loiters, people trespass and create a nuisance. So please, vote no on item 5. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 3616. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name is Shaylee Papadakis. I'm the Planning Deputy for Council District 14, and I'm speaking on item 12. Just wanted to convey that we're fully supportive of the updated signage plan submitted by the Grand, which is consistent with the Planning Commission's determination. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6767. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hi, I missed all of the discussion on most of the items, but I was particularly interested in number 11. I too was on the web audio portion, which didn't indicate that there were any problems, so I thought I was just on hold. If we could go over that, that would be great. Thank you.
That concludes all the callers, well, for this portion of public comment.
All right, Mr. Mejia, this will take us to item 1. And just to let folks know, we continue to try to figure out the sound issues. And if we're unable to continue figure out the sound issues, we're going to have to end this meeting and reschedule at another time. So just FYI to everyone that can hear me, we're trying to figure out the sound, and hopefully that word gets to people who cannot hear me. Mr. Mejia.
Yes, Councilman, item number 1 is Mr. Bertoni's weekly report.
Thank you, Chair Harris Dawson, members of the committee. I don't have a report for this week, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them or any comments. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on item number 1? All right. Seeing none, we'll receive and file item number 1, and then we will consider items 16 and 17 together, Mr. Mejia.
Yes. Items 16 and 17, Councilman, these are appeals. The project is situated in Council District number 3. Item 16 contains 5 appeals relative to the approval of the vesting tract map. It's for a project that will construct 19 single-family residents. And item 17 is the associated environmental clearance for the project. And 3 appellants submitted appeals for the project also in CD3. In CD3.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mejia. So I believe that peace has broken out on this matter. I'll ask Mr. Blumenfeld to lead us in deliberations on this one.
Great, thank you. No, this has been a 15-year battle in my area. This is a very long-standing thing, and I want to give everybody who's still standing, big kudos for coming together on this. This is the project applicant. 8 appellants have reached an agreement that resolves this dispute. And there's a good reason why it's been a 15-year battle. There's a beautiful piece of land of open space, and we know that when open space is developed, it's gone forever. And we're not making more of it. But people have property rights, and they're allowed to develop. And so we've been working with the applicant, the appellants, Save Oaks Savannah, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, to get this compromise for the development that is consistent with the zoning for the property, but also addresses the very important issues that were raised by the community. And just to give you a taste, the agreement provides a couple of key things. The donation of 2 lots, and some of this is through a side agreement with the appellants and the community and the developer, but donation of 2 lots, which will be preserved as open space, ultimately under the control of the MRCA. The option to purchase a 3rd lot, subject to the funding by the MRCA or another nonprofit. A conservation easement over a large part of the project site abutting Mulholland Drive that prohibits any future development, and it's binding on future owners if the property is ever sold. And look, I understand there's still folks who would much prefer to have the land undeveloped or turned into a park. The property owner has rights, and they've worked very hard with the community to come up with this. It's been a long, hard road. Again, I'm pleased that the community and the applicant have come together in an agreement that preserves much of the land as open space, and it saves trees, many more trees than were originally proposed. I've stood with the community throughout this process. I believe the applicant put forth the effort to work with the community to address the things that are important. Again, I really appreciate that, and I've stood with the community, and here we are today. So thank you to everybody who's been part of this, and my office and I will continue to work with the community and the applicant to resolve any future issues that come up. But I believe today is as you said, is the culmination of 15 years. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfeld. Do you have a motion on this?
Well, I believe the applicants have all removed their appeal, so we can just move forward.
All right. So I'm not sure, Mr. Mejia, we should read some instructions into the record.
Yes, and if the councilman agrees, he will listen in. The recommendation being committee members to deny the appeals and thereby sustain the actions of the advisory agency in certifying the vesting track map, the project EIR, the environmental findings of the mitigation measures, mitigation monitoring program, and related CEQA findings for the subdivision of a 6.2 acre property, 2 parcels into 19 lots for the construction of 19 detached single family residences located at 22241 through 22255 Mulholland Drive, and also deny the appeals and thereby sustain the determination of the zoning administrator in finding that the EIR certified on November 1, 2019 requires no subsequent EIR, negative deck, or addendum for approval of the subdivision of the stated property.
And I do believe that we have the appellants that have called in. I think they have to, or they will orally withdraw their appeals. I think that we have to go through that process before we actually take our vote on any of this, and we'll hear them in public comment. But
all right,
I believe, and we check with the city attorney, but I believe at least, I think that's the process, and if not, it's certainly a safer way to go.
Terry Copeland, the city attorney's office. No, they can put it in writing, but it's really too late to formally withdraw. So if it's the committee's pleasure, then they should simply accept whatever was in writing, receive it and file it, and then deny the appeals.
Okay.
And then they'll take the action that Mr. Mejia just read into the record.
certainly. And obviously, we'll all feel more comfortable after hearing folks do it on the record anyway. So
Right. So they would get 1 minute as a member of the public that way.
All right. So I'll second that motion from Mr. Blumenfeld, and then we'll go to public comment so we can get there are 3 people with their hands raised on this item. We're hoping it is the folks that can provide us with the confirmation that we seek. Ms. Binyam?
Caller with the number ending in 9875. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Kenya Vieira. I was actually trying to do the public comment for item number 5. I oppose to that one, to number 5, on this notion. This is...
Sorry, this is for item number 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I was online listening to it was back and forth, and I got disconnected on my call. That's why. And online, I wasn't able to listen.
I believe we lost the caller. Okay. Caller with the number ending in 0030, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, this is Dean Walraff. I'm an attorney from Advocates for the Environment, a nonprofit environmental law firm and an advocacy organization. We are not an appellant, but we oppose the project in part because it's incompatible with the setting. Cramming 19 houses onto this lot requires doing a lot of harm to the terrain of the trees, as you can tell from all the retaining walls that need to be built and all the old oak trees that need to get cut down. Advocates for the Environment focuses on climate change, and we have issues with the GHG analysis and the EIR. The city should stop doing these GHG analysis that violate CEQA. As we stated in our September letter to the City Planning Commission, the analysis conflicts with the Newhall Supreme Court case and violates CEQA. And in general, all new development projects should be net zero like Newhall. Thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 3230. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hello, this is Paul Edelman, representing both the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. We're in possession of the agreement reached with the local homeowners group, or the nonprofit. And based on this agreement, the MRCA and the SMMC agreed to withdraw all of their appeals on this project. Thank you, Councilmember Blumenfeld.
Tess Taylor. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, this is Tess Taylor with a point of order for the city attorney, Ms. Kaufman. May I? Can you hear me?
No, sorry, ma'am. This is for public. This is for comment on this.
Okay, but I have a point of order related to public comment. May I proceed with my point of order, please?
Sure.
Okay.
Councilmember Dawson, we don't take comments from the members of the public, but if you have questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yes, please. The item I've been trying for.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am. I meant if the chair or any of the members of the committee have questions, we're happy to answer them.
All right, so let's go to the next caller. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, we exhausted the speakers list for this particular item.
Excellent. So we have a motion. It's been seconded. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Woodfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Yes.
And Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
All right. So we got 5 members, unanimous.
Excellent. Congratulations to everybody involved in the project, and congratulations to our extremely skilled colleague, Mr. Bob Blumenfield. That takes us to...
Just to be clear, that vote was on items 16 and 17, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification. That takes us to items number 14 and 15, Mr. Mejia.
Certainly, Councilman. 14 and 15 are next to each other. The property is situated in CD 13. Item 14 is an appeal by Mr. Doug Haynes from the La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association, and he's appealing the environmental clearance for the 17-unit multifamily dwelling project. And item 15 is an appeal. It contains filed by Ahmed Haydar from Hollywood Villas LLC. They're also appealing the adequacy of the categorical exemption. However, the project under item 15 is for 21 units, Councilman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mejia. Those who want to speak on items 14 and 15, now is the time to press star 9. So when we get to public comment on this item, we'll be ready to go with you, but we'll begin deliberation of this item with a report from the Department of City Planning.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Trong with the Department of City Planning. Items 14 and 15 are CEQA appeals related to a density bonus and transit-oriented communities project within the Hollywood Community Plan area that proposes the construction of 2 new apartment buildings that in total will provide 38 dwelling units. One will provide 2 very low-income units, and the other will provide 2 extremely low-income units. Upon the City Planning Commission's actions that denied the appeals of the director's determination for both projects, subsequent appeals were filed challenging the basis of the CEQA determination. The appeal calls out issues regarding unusual circumstances, cumulative impacts, piecemealing, and density. The appellant contends that the unusual circumstance exists because the projects are not 21-unit and 17-unit apartment projects. Rather, they are co-living developments that propose a total of 188 units. The appellant points to LAMC Section 1221A1 that discusses the applicability of flexible units to the project. Concerning this issue, the projects are for 21-unit and 17-unit apartment buildings. All units are designed with one entrance and not in such a way that would allow them to be easily divided or used as separate units. The appellant further contends the city is ignoring the project's cumulative impacts, including socioeconomic impacts, resulting in demographic changes to the community. With the 48 projects referenced within the appeal, only 4 are within 1,000 feet of the subject project and are under different phases of their project timelines. Because these projects are either under construction or have completed their construction, the project would not result in cumulative impacts. Furthermore, potentially socioeconomic impacts are not environmental impacts. Regarding piecemealing, during case review for the projects, staff was aware of both developments. The environmental analysis that was completed and the technical studies done reflects analyses for both sites. Therefore, staff consider both projects in determining that the categorical exemption applies. And lastly, each project's proposed density was evaluated for compliance and applicability with the underlying zoning, density bonus provisions, and the Hollywood redevelopment plan provisions prior to approval. These specific calculations are discussed within the letter staff provided to the Plan Committee dated December 4th, 2020. Thank you. Staff is available to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. All right, now we have two appellants on this one. If we could go in order to hear from them for 4 minutes or less each.
Ahmed Haidar, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmad Haidar. I'm a developer of residential projects in Los Angeles. When I design an apartment building, I'm required to abide by the zoning limitations regarding my property and follow all applicable laws, including performing proper environmental analysis as required under the California Environmental Quality Act. When I request a permit, I do so under penalty of perjury that the information that I'm telling the city is accurate. Yet the project before you today obeys no laws, and the project description is a lie. And this is disregard for the rules is happening with the complicity of the city's planning department. The project under appeal is not 21 residential units apartment building, but instead consists of 94 bedrooms, almost all with full bathrooms that will each be leased out as single dwelling units. There's no question regarding this. The applicant has already completed one project like this and has advertised his plan to build 6 more, totaling 600 beds, or an average of 86 single units per building. The municipal code requires that whenever a residential building's layout is designed with multiple toilet and bath facilities that can be easily divided into or used for separate apartments or guest bedrooms, the lot area requirements and the parking requirements shall be based upon the highest number of dwelling units or guest rooms obtainable. Yet the planning department has ignored these fundamental premises and has instead defended the applicant's attempt to upend our zoning laws. The violation of CEQA exists because the city approved a categorical exemption based on a falsehood that the number of units in this project and its twin project just across the street fall below the threshold necessary to trigger any environmental review. There has thus been no substantive analysis of impacts related to traffic, noise, vibration, and public services, community impacts, and other environmental concerns. This project is opposed by every other property owner and tenant on the block, because this project will severely impact the quality of life of everyone who lives there. CEQA is intended to furnish both the roadmap and the environmental price tag for a project so that the decision maker and the public both know where the journey will lead and how much they and the environmental will have to give up. That's why the CEQA guidelines require an accurate project description, which is sorely missing here. Instead, we are expected to blindly accept the notion that adding almost 200 single units in 2 buildings to our block with barely 50 parking stalls will not have any environmental consequences for this quiet and historic residential street. While CEQA is primarily concerned with environmental impacts and their lessening, it also is deeply concerned with full public information and participation and public accountability of the public agencies and decision makers. None of that has occurred here. I beg you to vote no on this project. Thank you very much.
Todd Elliott, can you please press *6 to unmute your phone?
Wait, is there no Doug Haynes?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, Doug. Oh, sorry. You call him Doug Haynes. He's also on the panel.
Oh, apologies. I mean, Doug Haynes. Doug Haynes, can you please press *6?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. That was very, very taxing. First off, thank you so much for the 4 minutes of time instead of 3. I do appreciate it. Second, thank you for the review by the City Planning Department. I will point out really briefly that LAMC Section 1221A1, which regards flexible units, does not confine the definition of a flex unit to multiple entrances. There are many different aspects of that, including multiple bath facilities and also toilet and guest rooms. So it applies to this situation. Also, when it comes to the cumulative impacts, the city does not have a defined 1,000-foot radius. So I don't know where that comes from, but it's never been applied before. SEQA requires an accurate, stable, and finite project description, yet the project description before you is a lie. It is not 17 apartment units for the 5806 Lexington project. The project directly across the street that is proposed by the same developer at 5817 and is listed as 21 units is a lie as well. Both are co-living developments consisting of 94 bedrooms each, most with a full bathroom, and like the developer's other projects in Los Angeles, each of the bedrooms will be individually leased out as furnished single units with door locks. There has been no dispute of this either by the applicant or the city. Section 1203 of the Municipal Code identifies such arrangements as efficiency dwelling units. Under the law, parking requirements and density restrictions must be based on the highest possible number of units and guest rooms obtainable. The site for the 5806 Lexington project has an allowed base density of 19 units, or 1 unit per 800 square feet of lot area. The developer is instead creating 94 dwelling units and getting a 400% density increase for providing just 2 units of affordable housing. Combined with the applicant's other proposed project at 5817 Lexington across the street, there would be 188 units individually leased out, where the zoning allows just 38 units with only 4 units of affordable housing to replace the 6 units of housing that the sites previously contained. The applicant is clearly gaming the system for his own financial advantage. This block cannot support 188 single units with only 54 unbundled parking spaces, a third of which are tandem spaces. Our community does not have adequate city resources to address such high-density development, which undermines the general welfare, leaving us without adequate police resources, traffic control, sewer capability, and other infrastructure deficiencies that impact the quality of life for this community. Furthermore, the city has not required any environmental analysis whatsoever because the city falsely claims that the threshold for environmental review has not been met. Yet again, this is a narrative based on an inaccurate unit count. High-density projects in restricted density neighborhoods create environmentally significant impacts, yet the city has refused to consider the cumulative effect of almost 50 similar projects that we have listed in our appeal that are proposed or approved within the vicinity of the project site. The cumulative impact of the proposed project in conjunction with other developments in the vicinity has been ignored by this city. The surrounding project identified in our appeal would construct over 2,000 dwelling units, where only 68 residential units currently exist, primarily single-family homes dating to the turn of the last century. No environmental analysis has been conducted on any of these other projects, as the Planning Department also claims them all to be categorically exempt. This project violates CEQA, the municipal code, and the density limitations imposed on the Hollywood redevelopment plan area. It is opposed by the large community of homeowners, apartment building owners, tenants, and concerned neighbors of the 5800 block of Lexington Avenue, who instead support this appeal and the appeal of number 15. And I ask this committee to look seriously at what's going on here, because this is false numbers that are being bought by the Planning Department. This is a co-living development where you're going to have an overwhelming number of people with an overwhelming number of cars descending on this neighborhood. And if it starts here, it's going to spread throughout the city with no restrictions. Thank you.
Mm.
Is he still there?
Todd Elliott, can you please press star 6?
Good afternoon, this is Todd Elliott.
You can begin your comment, sir.
Honorable Chair Harris Dawson and honorable members of the committee, I assume that I have 4 minutes to speak in relation to this matter. Please correct me if I am wrong. I will try to be brief. The appellants here are filing an appeal that has no substantial evidence whatsoever to support their appeal. CEQA is the determining factor of whether or not you get a categorical exemption. The controlling case, as I wrote to you in a letter dated December 4th, is Berkeley Hills Preservation. In order to overturn a categorical exemption, appellants must prove that there are unusual circumstances in relation to the properties. They have given no substantial evidence whatsoever that there are unusual circumstances as to the lots, the topography, in any way. But they do rely on this notion that the city staff gets it wrong with regard to Section 1203 of the Municipal Code, that there would be multiple entrances, multiple kitchens, multiple bar sinks, and therefore a larger number of units at this property. But they have no evidence to support this, no substantial evidence. It is mere conjecture. And this is the problem with their appeal. It's intended only to deter the construction of legitimate housing. I would like to remedy the concerns of the neighborhood and the committee by offering a voluntary condition. One building will be rent controlled and will therefore be subject to SCEP inspections. The other is not, but in either event, my clients are willing certainly to have an annual inspection of the buildings by the Department of Building and Safety to ensure that there are only 38 units at the property. We would gladly accept that as a voluntary condition. I should also note that there is no proposed interior door locks. And I would also note for the record that appellants' conflation of this not being in accordance with Measure JJJ is simply absolutely outrageous. And I say that because the city adopted Measure JJJ properly, and these incentives that are granted under state law under Government Code 65915. And the city is well within its rights to grant these incentives and requests. I will reserve any further comment, and I urge the committee to deny this appeal and move forward with this matter going to the City Council. I should also note in closing that we are in a housing crisis, and we need to, and the state demands, that we build housing, and especially affordable housing. Thank you so very much.
All right. I think we can now go to public comment for this item. Ms. Binyam.
Those wishing to speak on items 14 and 15, please press star 9 to raise your hand. Caller with the number ending in 1084, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I thank you. I'm calling, Sue Bennett, calling from Hollywood. I support the appeal. This is another episode of raping a whole community and neighborhood, and I don't think there's ever been an appeal that this committee has ever accepted. They're all denied. You allow these developers to move in, take over communities, and you're just destroying our city. So thanks for that.
Caller with the number ending in 8092, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
You'd like to know if you better hear item 10 today, please.
Sir, I didn't catch that.
Hello, are you hearing item 10 today?
No.
No. Okay. All right, thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2854, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm wondering, will you be addressing the Jack in the Box development in the Pacific Palisades, or has that been postponed?
Comes later in the agenda. Sit tight, you'll see it.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 6318, can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Yes, thank you for hearing me on this, on 14 and 15. I am asking for your support on the appeal. One simple glance at the Proper Development's website, it's clear they're in the co-living business. Co-living is the upcycled term for hostels. I'm very familiar with these buildings. I live in a low-density residential neighborhood. We have 3 co-living buildings on our street, and they're building 2 more. With 4 people per bedroom, a 4-unit building becomes a 96-person hotel. If you times that by 5, that's 500 people on one residential street. If you can just imagine trash day, you would know the environmental impact that many people has. Our streets become the parking is a disaster because there is no parking for 500 people on one street. When Plum allows these buildings to be built, unfortunately, it is effectively passing the buck to enforcement, which in the city of Los Angeles is completely overwhelmed and doesn't exist. So when these things pass, they're built, and then it goes to enforcement, and enforcement never happens. And we are living with the consequences of that. So please, please, please take that into consideration when you allow developers to build these buildings under pretenses and then turn them into something else. All 5 buildings on my street are illegal. They're still in operation. There's still 96 people in each one of them. Thank you for your time.
Caller with the number ending in 5087. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, this is Brian Kern. I'm calling to ask the Plum Committee to support the appeals in 14 and 15. Co-living does, have a place in helping to solve the housing shortage in Los Angeles. However, I think that the city has put the cart before the horse in that it has not figured out what the regulations of this type of housing are. Is it a boarding house? Is it a hostel? Is it a hotel? Do you apply for a 17-unit building even though you're going to be collecting, 93 rents? So there seems to be a lot of confusion around this, and I would ask the members of the committee to perhaps somebody put forward a motion for the planning department to study, what a firm set of rules would look like for this. In the meantime, any developer that's coming in with one of these large projects needs to, garner the support of the neighborhood. It is going to be a sizable impact to their way of life and their living situation. So I would encourage the developer to go, to meet with the local neighborhood council and the residents associations to try to work out some of these issues with regards to parking. All right, thank you very much.
Peter Fletcher, do you have a comment for items 14 and 15? Your hand is raised. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
All right. Sounds like that exhausts public comment on this item. Mr. Bullock, a representative of Council District 13, if you can opine on this matter for the benefit of the committee members.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Bullock, and I'm a council member of Farrell's office. I wanted to convey the council members' thoughts about the impacts that this does have on the neighborhoods, but the appeals filed don't meet the threshold, and we concur with the planning department's recommendation to deny the appeal and sustain the planning director's decision. We would also like to take the developer up on his voluntary condition about having annual inspections by the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bullock. I want to open it up for discussion from members on this item, if there are any questions or comments on it. If seeing none, Mr. Mejia, we have a instruction on this item, including the amendment confirmed by Council District 13, offered by the developer.
So I will read it into the record, Councilman and committee members. Item 14, deny the appeal filed by Doug Haynes from the La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association, and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission in adopting the categorical exemption from CEQA for the construction of a transit-oriented communities 17-unit multifamily project, 2 units reserved for extremely low-income households for the property located at 5806 through 5812 West Lexington Avenue, subject to conditions of approval. For item 15, deny the appeal filed by Ahmad Haydar, Hollywood Villas LLC, on behalf of the concerned neighbors of Lexington Avenue and La Mirada Avenue Association, thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission in adopting a categorical exemption from CEQA for the proposed construction, use, and maintenance of a 21-unit multifamily dwelling project, 2 units reserved for low-income households for the property located at 5817 through 823 West Lexington Avenue, subject to conditions of approval, in addition to the voluntary condition offered by the applicant agreeing to inspections by the city on an annual basis, and as indicated by Mr. Bullock.
Terry Kaufman, Messiah City Attorney's Office. I think the idea is that the housing department would be the department that would conduct those inspections, so you should add that to the voluntary condition.
And as indicated by Ms. Kaufman Macias, we'll denote that the housing department is to do the inspections.
Excellent. It's been moved by the chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Can you read the call the roll, Mr. Mejia?
Yes. Councilmember Harris Dawson is chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Ask her, can it be an and?
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
They are able to.
Aye. Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Aye.
Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
We have 5 members, unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mejia. That takes us to item number 11.
Item 11, council members, this is a report from the Department of City Planning. It's recommending an environmental clearance, the Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment, otherwise known as SKIA. This is for the construction of a 570-unit project located in CD 14.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, that last vote was for both items 14 and 15, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So back to item number 11. First, if there are folks who want to speak on item number 11, now is the time to press star 9. Star 9, so your hand can be raised, and we can prepare for you when we get to public comment. But first, we'll begin by hearing from Department of City Planning.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Debbie Lawrence with City Planning. This is for a project at 350 South Figueroa, which is located in the Bunker Hill specific plan. It's a city planning case for project permit compliance for this specific plan. The project includes the proposed demolition of a 29,500 square foot portion of an existing structure and construction of a new 41-story residential building integrated into the existing structure. There's 570 units. The intent of a SKIA is to encourage projects that would implement regional plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, such as by building housing near public transit. So this project qualifies under Public Resources Code Section 21155 as a transit priority project, as it's consistent with the general land use designation, density, building intensity, and policies in the SCAG Regional Transportation Plan and communities, Sustainable Communities Strategy. So if a project qualifies as a TPP and would mitigate potentially significant impacts to a level of insignificance, the lead agency may choose to prepare a SKIA. And so the department has determined that the project qualifies for a SKIA and meets the required criteria, and these are outlined in the city planning staff report. So an initial study has been prepared and circulated in compliance with the Public Resources Code, and a public hearing on the SKIA is to be held for consideration by City Council prior to the SKIA adoption and approval of the project. So the SKIA provides complete environmental analysis by evaluating the potential effects of a project in an initial study and has incorporated all feasible mitigation measures. performance standards or criteria set forth in prior EIRs, including the SCAG 2016-2040 RTP EIR. So all potentially significant effects identified in the initial study have been identified and analyzed in the SKIA. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Now we'll go to public comment on this matter. We'll turn it over to Ms. Binion, but I see that 3 people have raised their hands. On item number 11.
Caller with the number ending in 8244. Can you please press *6 to unmute?
Good afternoon.
You can begin your
hear me?
public comment. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. My name is Sean Silva, and I'm here on behalf of Creed LA. We strongly support the project. We support this project because it provides so much more housing for our city, and it replaces existing office space and allows downtown to offer more residential units to suit its growing density. The project also improves our local economy, adding more residents and their economic activities into the downtown ecosystem. Alongside that, we know that because of our city's critical homelessness issues that no amount of housing is too great, and we know what the stakes are. We're proud to support projects that contribute to our local economy and to our city, and we ask you to approve the SKIA. Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 5180. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Good afternoon. My name is Priscilla, and I'm here to support this project. Adding 500 new residential units to the city's housing supplies has to be considered a win. The fact that the developer would commit to increasing the city's housing and overall architectural profile at a time like this is fantastic. I support it completely. Please approve the SDEA for this project. Thank you.
That exhausts the speakers for this item, but we do have the appellants and applicants on the call for this item as well.
For item 11?
Correct. There's a Ryan, last name Lederman.
Well, this is not an appeal, so I'll be very curious to see what Mr. Lederman has to say. Let's bring him on for 1 minute.
Okay.
Good afternoon, honorable council members. It's not an appeal. I represent 350 South Figueroa LLC. This is Ryan Lederman from Holland and Knight. We're obviously strongly in support of housing and in favor of the project. We've been working closely with Debbie Lawrence and the city family to see that this project is legally adequate, reviewed, the environmental impacts are reviewed adequately. And just a side note, SKIA was it came into existence through SB 375, which our honorable members, Cedillo and Price, were voting members when they were up in Sacramento, as well as council members Krikorian and future council member Ridley Thomas. So we're very happy to see that this type of project, which reduces greenhouse gases because it's so close to transit and being a housing development project, can go forward. And this came about through some of their actions about 10 years ago. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lederman. Do we have a representative of Council District 14? Going once, twice. No one from Council District 14. Are there questions or comments on this item from members of the committee? All right, seeing none, I believe we have a proposed order on this matter. Mr. Mejia, if you could read that into the record.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Approve the Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment SKIA, the environmental findings, the mitigation measures, mitigation monitoring program, for the construction of a 570-unit residential project for the properties located at 350 through 356 South Figueroa Street, 830 West 3rd Street, 825 West 4th Street, 333 through 361 South Flower Street, inasmuch as the project meets the necessary findings and as stated by Ms. Debbie Lawrence from the Public Resources Code, Section 21155B, and that the project is a transit priority project.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Price. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Harris Dawson as chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Aye.
Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
And we have 5 members, unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. That takes us to item number 12.
Yes, item 12, council members. This is a report from the City Planning Commission. It's a proposed ordinance to establish the Grand Sign District. The project was previously approved, so this is a proposal for a sign district.
All right, if you want to speak on this item, now is the time to press star 9 to raise your hand so we can be prepared for you. But before we commence discussion, we'll have a report from Department of City Planning.
Good afternoon, honorable committee members. Ray Fukuda with City Planning. Before you is a sign district for the Grand Avenue mixed-use development. The sign district is proposed for the previously approved Grand Avenue mixed-use development, which is currently under construction. The sign district allows for a number of signage types, including internally facing small-scale digital displays, as well as 6 advertising kiosks with digital faces and 12 additional advertising kiosks without digital components. The applicant has submitted a letter dated November 25, 2020, requesting that 1 additional advertising kiosk sign with a digital face be approved as part of the sign district, for a total of 19 advertising kiosks. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
All right. If there are no comments from or questions from members before we go to public comment, we will entertain public comment at this time. I see 1 person in the queue. So, Ms. Benjamin, if you can bring that person to the floor.
Caller with the number ending in 5540. Can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, council members. My name is Cindy Starrett from Latham and Watkins, and Rick Vogel from Related, I think, had been given a number to call as well to represent the applicant. Just briefly, this project has been very carefully designed by Frank Gehry, including the signage, to make sure it enhances the beautiful architecture of the project, which delivers very significant public benefits. The proposal has been very thoroughly reviewed. The 1 additional advertising kiosk for the number of 19 that was mentioned by the staff, we hope you all will approve that 1-page correction that we've submitted to you. That's on the interior of the parking level and was omitted from the prior exhibit just because it's inside the building. And we hope that you all will approve that technical correction and that this may move forward. The project's under construction, creating great jobs, and our tenants are eager to start understanding what their signage can be so they can occupy the project. And if I believe Mr. Vogel again is on the line hoping to speak.
Caller with the number ending in 0203. Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, thank you. This is David Wheatley. I'm curious about these 19 signs, what the dimensions are. Are they going to be visible from traffic? Just a minute, please. Also, I'm interested to know if Mr. Gehry will have approval over the colors of the ads so they don't wreck his, what I assume will be a beautiful design. A little bit concerned this is already under construction. This issue has not come up until now. Seems to me it should have been and could have been part of the initial approval process on the project. So if the responsible people could please fill me in and maybe others on how this is going to look, I think that would be very, very helpful. Thank you very much.
All right, it appears as if that concludes public comment on this item. I'll ask Department of City Planning if they want to comment on the questions or comments that came up during public comment.
Mr. Chair, we have one more public comment. Rick Vogel just called.
Well, I'm eager to hear from them.
Hi, this is Rick Vogel with Related. Thank you for hearing me. I am the project executive responsible for the development of the grant for Related. We appreciated the City Council's action last fall to initiate the sign district for this important project on Grand Avenue. Our public benefits include 20% affordable housing, very significant local hiring, and a public plaza, as summarized in the letter we submitted yesterday with renderings of Frank Geary's beautiful design. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, our construction has continued, and we appreciate the recognition by our council member De Leon that the grant is a model project for Los Angeles. We are working closely with our union labor partners to provide protections for worker safety, and we look forward to completing our project over the next 14 months and opening the grant as a catalyst for LA's economic recovery. We have worked hard with the Geary team to ensure appropriate signage for this project, to provide wayfinding for our visitors and identification for our tenants. Our technical correction to the Planning Commission's determination is needed for the number of digital signage kiosks, which is 7, to bring the total kiosks to 19, including in our valet area, and we have worked with staff to finalize the corrected plan page in your materials. These kiosks will provide information on transportation and cultural offerings, as well as project information. We appreciate the support of the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, as well as our neighbors, the Broad and the Music Center, as well as support from the CCA and other businesses. Our request is for approval with the technical correction noted above. Since the project is under construction and leasing is in process, we hope the city attorney can finalize the ordinance as soon as possible so the council's approval can be completed. Thanks very much for your consideration.
That concludes the speakers for this item, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I'll ask if Department of City Planning wants to respond to any of the comments or questions that were raised during public comment.
Ray Fukuda with City Planning. I'll just add that the additional advertising kiosk is an internally facing a kiosk that is not visible from the public right-of-way.
Thank you for that. Any discussion by members? Seeing none, Mr. Mejia, we have an instruction that I will move if you'll read into the record.
Yes, Councilman Harris Dawson, the instruction being to request the city attorney to prepare and present the ordinance and also to approve the technical corrections that were submitted by the representative of the applicant's representative, Cindy Starrett from Latham and Watkins.
Excellent. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Aye.
Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
And that's 5 members. Unanimous decision, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. That takes us to item number 13.
Yes, item 13, committee members, this is an appeal filed by Edgewater Towers Condominium Association and the Pacific Palisades Residents Association. This relates to various land use entitlements for the construction of a mixed-use building, which will include 39 dwelling units and 4 units restricted to very low-income households.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. Now is the time to press *9 if you want to speak on item number 13. But before we begin deliberation, we'll hear from Department of City Planning.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of PLUM. My name is Nick Lostith-Oswalt with the Department of City Planning staff here for item number 13. The City Planning Commission approved this previously stated entitlement for a 32,225 square foot mixed-use development consisting of 39 units, 4 set aside for very low-income housing, 2,900 square feet of commercial retail, 49 parking spaces, 67 bicycle parking spaces, and 4,006 square feet of open space. The CPC also adopted a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program as the environmental clearance for the project. One appeal was filed for this case and the associated environmental clearance. The appellant has 6 main points of contention summarized as follows. 1, lack of compliance with the community plan and specific plan. 2, lack of compliance with the Coastal Act. 3, insufficiency of the mitigated negative declaration. 4, inadequacy of the DCP recommendation report. 5, insufficiency of the density bonus findings. And 6, insufficiency of the mitigation measures. Planning staff submitted a letter dated December 3rd, 2020, outlining the appeal points as well as staff's responses. Upon further review and analysis of the issues raised by the appellants, no substantial evidence exists of errors or abuse of discretion committed by the City Planning Commission with regards to the appeal points raised. As provided in staff's letter, the proposed commercial and residential uses in the proposed project are permitted in the zone, and the CPC's decision is supported by the necessary findings. The appellant has not provided substantial evidence to support their appeal. Since the appeal cannot be substantiated, staff therefore recommends that the Plum Committee and City Council deny the appeal and sustain the determination of the City Planning Commission to approve the requested action for the proposed project. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have one applicant and one appellant on this, so we'll hear from the appellant first, Ms. Binyam.
Tom Donovan, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? Tom Donovan, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, this is Thomas Donovan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I represent the Edgewater Towers Condominium Homeowners Association, 148 units, and the Pacific Palisades Residents Association, about 3,000 homes. And also, I guess, every community organization in the Palisades, which is opposing this project. Due to the number of residents that I represent, I would request a little indulgence as to the time allowed to speak. Planning did file a rebuttal to our appeal last week, but did not provide it to me. And prior to that, it had failed to address our July 2 and August 24 letters and the geotechnical report from NGO. Now it responds without notice to us, and this is despite the appeal was filed on September 28th. So now planning responds 4 days before the hearing without notice. And there's other opposition that was submitted yesterday. So these are the kinds of things that residents complain about. It's a failure to provide due process. And I'm requesting that this hearing be continued to fully respond to these new submissions. Absent continuance, I will say this. At the City Planning Commission hearing, the CPC relied on unproven statements from the applicant, who said that we had contacted planning staff and HCID, and there are 0 covenanted affordable units in the Pacific Palisades. This was significant and relied upon the CPC. Several commissioners actually made this a cornerstone of their comments prior to voting, and they actually lectured the community for not doing their part regarding affordable housing. However, no evidence was provided to substantiate the truth of this statement. It was not even corroborated by planning staff who were present at the meeting. This statement is not true. There are numerous affordable units in the Pacific Palisades. I've received estimates that there are at least 274 affordable units and probably more. On this basis alone, the CPC decision should be reversed. The other thing the CPC did is they essentially found that the specific plan constitutes exclusionary zoning and refused to apply it. Several commissioners mentioned this. It is inappropriate and possibly unlawful for the City Commission to refuse to apply city planning law simply because they don't like it. And I will also point out that the Design Review Board unanimously hated this project. But instead of having the applicant revise the project and bring it back to DRB, they took it to an internal DRB. We don't know who's on it, what they were provided, exactly what was said. Again, this is a violation of due process. Speaking of other substance areas, there are potential geological issues and risks regarding the slope stability, and that was the subject of the NGO July 13, 2020 report. This is a public safety issue. Further slope stability and soil conditions analysis is needed. The applicant's geological findings are based on borings that are over 50 years old. Planning failed to address this in its recommendation to the report to the CPC and didn't even attach it as an exhibit. And just last Thursday, Planning responded to this, and it indicates that the NGO's report was submitted after the close of public comment. But the substance of NGO's report was submitted in an email to Planning on July 9, 2019. It indicates that the NGO report doesn't state what documentation was reviewed, but it does. It reviewed the applicant's report. And Planning has still failed to address the issues presented by NGO, which are the geological investigation done by the applicant does not provide enough information to show the adverse effects. The design parameters for the retaining wall is based on borings that are over 50 years old. There is little to no site-specific information about the soil conditions behind the proposed wall. It is unclear if any stability analysis was completed. Moving on, there is also sufficient mitigating conditions were not imposed, especially with regard to the rooftop recreation area, which should be eliminated or mitigation should be required. At least the portions closest to Edgewater should be moved, which is the Edgewater has that property right behind the subject site, and we move to the Sunset Boulevard side of the building. Planning now says there's no evidence that noise from the rooftop decks will result in any adverse impact. But how can Appellant provide that? The building hasn't even been constructed. The city routinely imposes noise conditions on decks and other outside activity before a project is constructed. These prevent the misuse of property to the detriment of the neighbors before it even starts. So why not here? And I will note that the applicant is asserting there's no evidence to support its assumption the rooftop will be used for parties and late night activities. Well, then why doesn't the applicant agree not to use the rooftop for parties and late night activities? This is why conditions should be imposed. And I've listed a series of conditions that you should impose on this project if rooftop decks are to be allowed, including no live or amplified music on the rooftop decks, no large parties or events with more than 10 persons. Hours of use should be limited to 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The utility equipment should be moved as far as possible from the rear of the project. The parapet wall on the rooftop decks should be coated with sound reduction material. All lighting on the rooftop decks should be shielded and downcast to prevent light pollution. Permanent planters should be placed on the rear portion of all the rooftop decks. The city does this all the time. Excuse me?
That's your time, sir.
In conclusion, this project should be rejected and sent back for.
All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from the applicant.
Michael Gonzalez, can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, council members. Making sure it wasn't quite evening yet. Michael Gonzalez, representing the applicant. Thank you for the time today. It's clear that the community hates this project, but thankfully that's not the legal standard by which we judge development under applicable state law or under applicable local law. Mr. Donovan's suggestion that the Commission refused to apply the specific plan is misleading. The specific plan does not regulate density. The LAMC does, and 37 units are permitted by right on this property by the LAMC. What the specific plan does is make it difficult to develop those units by imposing very stringent height and FAR restrictions. The applicant is reserving 4 very low-income dwelling units and is using density bonus incentives to allow the development of those units as provided by state law and under the LAMC. So they're not ignoring or refusing to apply. They're actually following the law. And I know it's hard for them to understand that, but the law allows that to occur. Additionally, arguments that the project is inconsistent with the Coastal Act are completely misguided. There are images in the record before you of Temescal Canyon and Pacific Coast Highway, Topanga Canyon and Pacific Coast Highway, filled with natural landforms that should remain untouched. What you've got at Sunset and Pacific Coast Highway are 8-story towers that the Edgewater folks live in. They throw from a very high place onto our property, as well as multiple 3-, 4-, and 5-story buildings that run around Sunset Boulevard up above Castellamare. It is highly developed, and it's exactly where the Coastal Act wants development. The Coastal Act does say that the density bonus should defer to the Coastal Act. In this case, we have harmonized the Coastal Act and the density bonus in a way that allows the development of this site, which is currently occupied by a fast food drive-through, which is completely hostile to good urban development, with 4 very low-income units, market rate units, as well as commercial. The appellants argue that we're inconsistent with regulatory interpretive guidelines. We're not. They do say that you should not place residential development on commercial land. We are increasing the amount of commercial and putting residential on top. These guidelines are 40 years old, and they were written in a world of Euclidean zoning where mixed use wasn't even a concept that was really used in planning circles. Moreover, the density restrictions in the regional interpretive guidelines use the word should. It does not usurp the city's power to set their own density limitations. In terms of the geological concerns, they're unfounded. LA's Grading Division approved our geological report. We utilized reports from the construction of the Edgewater Towers to understand that there was bedrock within 2 to 10 feet from ground surface. Bedrock doesn't move over 50 years. It usually takes eons for bedrock to move. So the fact that the data was 50 years old doesn't really make much of a difference. In geological senses, that's a very small amount of time. So the applicant's allegations are inaccurate and unfounded. Additionally, the applicant claims that we have failed to analyze cumulative traffic impacts. We've done exactly that. We've looked at related projects and analyzed their potential impacts on the environment. In a nutshell, we know there's dislike of this project, and we know change can be difficult, but that's not how we measure projects. We have a project here that was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission that will increase the supply of affordable units here. In addition, while we know we are on strong legal ground for this project, and we know we could withstand appeal and even legal challenges, we as part of this community want to offer an additional 4 moderate income units. All communities must do their part to solve this housing crisis, not just market rate housing, but housing that is affordable at very low levels and at moderate levels. So in a nutshell, we are increasing our affordable set aside from 4 very low income units to 4 very low income units plus 4 moderate rate income units. With that, I submit to the council, and we urge you to recommend approval of this project.
All right, it looks like we got some public comment on this, Ms. Binyam.
Yes, we do. Caller with the number ending in 4443. Can you please press *6 to unmute? Can you please press *6 to unmute your phone?
Council members, I appreciate your time. My name is Harris Levin. I am not an owner or resident of Edgewater Towers, but I am a homeowner and resident of Pacific Palisades. I've heard a number of these plum meetings. I've heard you approve everything that's come before you, but I've never heard you approve, that is you council members, approve a project where the attorney for the project says it violates the law. And that is what Mr. Gonzalez says right in the middle of his 7-page letter that he sent to you yesterday at page 4. He admits that the law does state that residential development on existing commercial zones parcels will not be allowed. And then he tries to kind of get around this by saying, well, that's over 40 years old, the city has grown, and things have changed. The city's planning and zoning code, by the way, was enacted over 80 years ago, and many 80-year-old provisions of that are still being enforced. If the Plum's policy is that any law 40 or more years old doesn't have to be enforced, then you are inviting anarchy.
Thank you. That's
well, just said, and I'm finished if that's it.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller with the number ending in 2854, can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself?
My name is Jay. I'm a resident in the neighborhood. What's difficult to understand is that the developer states what he calls facts and no one questions them. In the Planning Commission hearing, the developer stated there was no low-income housing here. As Mr. Donovan stated, there's over 200 units. You didn't hear the developer state that today. The developer states there are no blocked views. That's not true. The developer states there's plenty of parking and there's no traffic congestion, yet the 80 units across the street are about to start filling up. And how will that affect it? The developer says that his design elements are in keeping with the neighborhood, yet it would be the only building in the entire Palisades that has no setback that's built on the street. The Palisades isn't against development, they're against bad development. In a world where bipartisanship is the name of the game, the Palisades are unanimous. And we would ask you to consider the facts. Don't believe me, don't believe us, don't believe the developer, do your homework. I just don't understand why you simply accept what is said and vote yes in the so-called name of development, in the so-called name of low-income housing. We have plenty, less than a football field.
Caller with the number ending in 5765. Can you please press star 6 to unmute? (5765). Please press star 6 to unmute. (5765). I can see that you unmuted, then muted yourself. Just press star 6. Caller 4666. Can you please press star 6 to unmute yourself? Can you please press star 6 to unmute?
Hi, my name is Aileen Howe. I'm a resident and homeowner in Pacific Palisades. I've attended all the public meetings regarding this project, and there are so many things that Mr. Gonzalez covers in his statement, but one that's interesting is about the low-income housing units. He addressed this issue in a public meeting when we asked how this process works. Those 3 units that are allowed are a cynical workaround so that this developer can go 5 stories on a section of Sunset Boulevard very, very close to PCH that is so congested that common sense would tell you that another unit like this is ridiculous. This is a high fire risk zone. There's only 3 main arteries going in and out of the Palisades to PCH. This is a very, very congested area with now 3 schools, a Vaughn's, multiple condo units now on one side of the street that aren't even occupied yet.
That's
if
your
you go
time.
there rush hour, it's gridlock.
Caller with a number ending in 5024. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Hi, my name is David Card. I'm the chair of the Pacific Palisades Community Council, speaking on this item 13. The PPCC, our community council, opposed this project because it offers more than twice the size authorized by our specific plan. It's too high and too dense and very little setback, if at all. It violates the Coastal Commission, or the Coastal Act of 30251. It has one-story buildings on both sides of this project. It's not visually compatible with the character of the surrounding area. Besides the overwhelming community opposition, we do not oppose affordable housing. In fact, the Palisades had to sue our PPRA, one of our board members, in the 70s, had to sue to get over 100 units of senior and family housing that is low income right at the mouth of the Highlands, a block away from this project. So we're able to get low income housing. We encourage it, but this project is not a good example of it. And thank you very much.
Caller with the number ending in 0203. Can you please press *6 to unmute yourself?
Thank you. This is David Wheatley. I'm a stakeholder in Pacific Palisades, or was until the COVID hit. And I applaud Mr. Donovan and wish he'd had another 10 minutes to wax on about that. A couple technical things. Is there any way that the moderator of this could stop saying exhaust public comment? Please show a little more respect. It sounds like it's tiresome, and I think it's a vital part of our democracy. Also, the person who says unanimous, I see that as a form of gloating, and it's very disrespectful to those who did not win on a particular item. Also, density bonus is voluntary. They make it sound like they can just traipse right in and demand all this. It's not. There are lots of ways that it doesn't apply. They have to prove they have to get it to make their project viable on a financial level. Also, is there any way that these hearings can be more judicial? They seem kind of loose to me, all due respect. The rules of evidence need to apply. Perhaps we need to have a judge in charge of it. And then the commission, or this committee, performs as a jury to keep this more on track. Also, this would make a great class action suit, and I hope somebody will do it. Thank you.
All right. I believe the wealth of public comment speakers has expired. And we will hear now from Council District 11. Do we have a representative from Council District 11? Going once. Going twice. All right. With that, are there any questions or comments from the committee members? All right. Seeing none, I believe we prepared an instruction, Mr. Mejia, that I'll move if you read.
Sure. For item 13, Mr. Chairman, deny the appeals filed by Edgewater Towers Condominium HOA Association and the Pacific Palisades Residents Association, and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission to adopt the environmental clearance, the mitigated negative deck, and approval of a design review determination, a project permit compliance, a coastal development permit, and a Mello Act compliance review for the proposed mixed-use project consisting of 39 units with 4 very low-income units, and as stated by the applicant at today's meeting, 4 moderate, inclusive of 4 moderate income units.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I've been seconded by Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Certainly. Councilmember Harris Dawson as chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Lumenfield.
Lumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
We have 5 members.
Excellent.
It
5
passes.
members and a full complement of committee members in support of denying the appeal. That takes us to item number 18.
Item 18, council members, this is a motion by Councilmember Price and O'Farrell. It's requesting the reprogramming of $1 million allocated from the TFAR Benefits Trust Fund to the Responsible Community Development Organization in CD, and this project is situated in CD9.
All right, we'll begin discussion on this by turning the floor to Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment to this motion. I move that the $1 million allocated from the transfer of Floor Area Rights Public Benefit Trust Fund to the Coalition for Responsible Community Development for Job Training and Outreach at La Piñon be reprogrammed to real estate acquisition, affordable housing, and property improvements at the Lincoln Theater development located at 2300 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. I further move that the Chief Legislative Analyst be authorized to make any technical changes and or prepare any controller instructions to effectuate the interest of this action and authorize the City Controller to implement said instruction. That concludes my amendments, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we're considering this item as amended. If there are any persons who want to offer public comment on this item, they should press *9 now to raise their hand. I'll take a moment to see if there's comment from other members or questions from other members. All right, seeing none and seeing no hands raised in the queue, we have a motion before us by Mr. Price. I'll second that motion. Can you call the roll, Mr. Mejia?
Yes, this is the motion to adopt it as amended. Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Aye.
And Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
And that's 5 members.
Excellent. A full complement of members in support of this item. Congratulations, Mr. Price. Now, Mr. Mejia, we have before us 4, 5, 6, and 7, which has received public comment, and we've read into the record. I'm moving that we adopt those items on consent. If there is a second, we can call the roll and dispose of those items.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Mr. Mejia, can you call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Harris Dawson is chair.
Yes.
Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Curran Price.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
And Councilmember John Lee.
Aye.
That's 5 members, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Mejia. Can you confirm that that concludes our regular business for this meeting?
That concludes the meeting, Mr. Chair and members.
Excellent. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, members and staff.
Thank you.